Welcome to Storytime, brought to you by the OWSCyCon2019, the online book event of the year. "I think it's about time to get out of here," Dan said. "It's only a matter of time before we blow our cover, so why stick around for that to happen?" "You may be right. Did everyone make it back to the ship?" "Everyone except Sarang," Fowler said. "Then we have to keep up our performance a bit longer. We can leave when she gets back." "You know, we like her too," Fowler said. "Can't let her jeopardize the whole mission," Dan added. "Agreed, but we can afford some time, and you," he pointed at Fowler, "seemed to me she saved your life. All we have to do is cast off and set sail. Confine everyone to the ship. Nobody leaves now. We'll leave this afternoon with or without her." James made his rounds and fussed about everything. He ordered men to clean the swivel guns once more, but mostly to have crew near them in the event of emergency. Johnny's men wheeled bronze 18-pounders into place on the vacant starboard side of the ship. The sound of lions roaring spread over the harbour. He pulled Johnny away from the rear swivel guns. "Get riflemen up here and make ready. If she comes back at all, she may need cover." Musket fire broke out in the city, then grew quiet. The roar of food dogs remained. James yelled down to Don Velasco, "Make sail!" Men clambered aloft and unfurled the canvas. The female food dog came into view and ran down the dock. She carried the body of the assassin in her jaws. Sarang came next. Her wrappings and face were covered in blood. Muskets fired once more, and the ringing of a brass bell announced their impact with the male food dog. He roared in defiance, but blocked the soldiers from firing at Sarang. The grey food dog leaped aboard the ship with her prize. Sarang sliced the mooring lines, then looked back. The male food dog ran down the dock. She climbed aboard and kicked off the planks. The Emperor's soldiers came into view with spears and bayoneted muskets. "Open fire!" James yelled. He sprinted for the ship's wheel. Rifle fire erupted from the Lanternfish crew. Some of the Emperor's men fell. 3 rockets shot from the parapets of the fort. They wobbled behind a fiery red glow and fell harmlessly in the harbour. Johnny unleashed one of the swivel guns and tore the dock apart to slow the pursuit. He moved rapidly to the next one, then gave them another round. The brass food dog leaped toward the moving ship. His face came above the rail, then dropped out of sight. Sarang ran to the rail. She fell to her stomach and reached. James ran to the rail alongside the poop deck. The creature missed his mark, but was firmly anchored by his claws to the side of the ship. "Don't just stand there. Drop those empty rifles and help her." Pirates scrambled to the edge. Gunports opened below, and men pushed. Eventually the animal scrambled aboard, then limped over to his distraught mate. They looked back at the city and roared in defiance. Smoke belched forth from one of the guns at the fort. The shot tore a large hole through the forward mainsail, then skipped across the harbour like a stone. It sunk a small fishing boat. The echo of the blast reached them several seconds later. "There's your mark. Don't give them time to reload," James yelled to Johnny. "I'm going to head for the river current to give some speed." Johnny didn't respond. He left the swivel gun, then adjusted the mortar. He fired one of their precious shells. It was several seconds later when it exploded directly above the gun crew. Mirrors flashed from the top of Sarang's former temple. They were answered by flashes from the small temple atop the rock formation in the harbour. "Leave the mortars," James ordered. "Wheel out the guns. I think we're about to have a ship to deal with." "They're all still on the port side, Captain," Johnny said. "Then we'll fight them from the port side. I doubt we can outrun them in this thing." 2 more cannons fired from the fort, but missed the moving target. Several more of the ridiculous rockets fired, but they spun and curved across the harbour. Johnny scrambled below decks. Sarang sprinted to the end of the bowsprit to set the jibs. It provided a minimal speed increase but gave the ship some manoeuvrability. A Hollish frigate appeared beyond the narrows ahead of them. James kept the Lanternfish moving through the gap toward the open sea. In frustration, he grabbed Dan and pulled him behind the wheel. "We're too big to turn around. Keep moving through the gap and try to get them on our port side. Whatever you do, don't run us aground or we'll all lose our heads tonight." He leaped over the rail and then sprinted for the lower decks. He grabbed Johnny and nearly pulled him off his feet. "Wheel out the 18-pounders too." "We don't have any shot for them," Johnny protested. "I know that, but they're all smoothbores. Load them with 8-pound balls, 12-pounders too. 5 8s, 3 12s, a bucket full of rounds for the swivel guns. Make a guess, goddammit." "Aye, Captain." "And double bag them. If we give them enough charge, they should pierce that frigate." "You heard the Captain? Wheel out the big guns." James sprinted back toward the helm. Dan's only option was to get through the narrows. Once he hit the open sea, he tried to move to starboard, but the coast left him minimal room. The frigate passed ahead of them, gave them a volley. One round passed through the officers' quarters and left a swathe of splinters in its wake. James grabbed the wheel and turned hard to port, bringing the starboard guns into play. "Let's pray Johnny carried out his orders," he said to Dan. Tense moments passed as the frigate reloaded, then moved into position. James gave the wheel back to Dan and peered over the railing. His own guns were aiming outside, one at a time. The frigate's guns started coming back out. "Fire, damn it!" James yelled towards his gun ports. Lanternfish belched forth a 50-gun broadside. 3 decks of cannon went off at once. The ship lurched to the side from the recoil. Smoke obliterated any view of the frigate. It burned the eyes and smelled of sulphur so bad Dan broke out coughing. A huge explosion crossed the gap. The smoke parted and the shockwave rippled the sails of the Lanternfish. The frigate was blown to bits and sinking fast. "We must have hit her powder magazine," James said. Dan stumbled into the chair behind the wheel. "Doesn't look like we'll be welcome back in Chingy Ha from now on." This story time was read by Timothy Bateson and brought to you in conjunction with the OWSCyCon 2019. OWSCyCon runs from May 17th through May 19th. You can find us at OWSCyCon.OurRightSide.com. Again, OWSCyCon.OurRightSide.com. We have events happening across all genres. If you are a reader, you cannot afford to miss this event. You never know. You may just find your next best read.